What if I told you that some of the most mind-blowing inventions we use today, like drones, electric cars, and video calls, were actually imagined centuries ago? That's right. Long before the internet, smartphones, or even electricity, there were brilliant minds building gadgets that seemed straight out of a sci-fi movie. In this video, we're diving into 10 weird inventions that were way ahead of their time. From a steam-powered flying pigeon in ancient Greece to a wearable TV headset from the 1930s, these creations will blow your mind. Stick around till the end. Number 1 might just change how you see modern technology. Invention 10. The steam-powered pigeon. Let's kick things off with something truly wild, a steam-powered flying pigeon from ancient Greece. Invented around 400 BC by a brilliant engineer named Antikythera, this bird-shaped device was made of wood and powered by steam. Yes, steam. It could actually take flight for short distances, astonishing observers of the time. Think about it. Over 2,000 years ago, someone basically created the world's first flying robot. Historians believe it was more of a demonstration of scientific principles than a practical flying machine. But it still laid the groundwork for ideas that would one day evolve into modern drones and aeronautics. Who knew the first robot might have had feathers and flapped its wings in ancient Greece? Invention 9. The Antikythera Mechanism. Imagine finding an ancient machine at the bottom of the sea and realizing it's basically a 2,000-year-old analog computer. That's exactly what happened in 1901 when divers discovered the Antikythera Mechanism off the coast of Greece. Dating back to around 100 BC, this mysterious device was made of bronze gears and dials, designed to predict solar and lunar eclipses, track the positions of planets, and even mark the dates of the Olympic Games. Scientists were stunned. It was far more advanced than anything else known from that era. Some even called it the world's first computer. It took over a century to fully understand how it worked, and even now, many of its secrets remain unsolved. How did ancient engineers create something so precise, with no modern tools? Invention 8. Wearable TV glasses. You might think wearable screens started with VR headsets or smart glasses, but think again. Back in the 1960s, inventor Hugo Gernsback came up with something called the teleglasses. They looked like a bulky pair of sci-fi goggles, but these glasses actually had tiny television screens embedded in them. That's right, portable, wearable video entertainment, long before smartphones or Netflix even existed. Gernsback believed people would one day walk around with these on their heads, watching shows on the go. Sounds familiar, doesn't it? At the time, people thought it was just a goofy idea. But today, we've got Apple Vision Pro, Meta Quest, and AR glasses doing exactly what he imagined, over half a century later. It turns out Gernsback was just waiting for the world to catch up. Invention 7. The telectroscope. Long before Zoom calls or FaceTime, people were already dreaming about real-time video communication, and one of the wildest concepts came from the 1870s. Enter the telectroscope. Invented by George Carey and later popularized by Jules Verne's writings, the telectroscope was imagined as a device that could transmit live moving images across long distances using electricity and light. In theory, it would let people see each other while talking, just like modern video calls. Of course, the tech to make it fully functional didn't exist back then, but the idea was incredibly ahead of its time. Fast forward to today, and we're chatting across continents with just a tap on a phone. The telectroscope may not have worked back then, but it sure predicted the future. Invention 6. The 1930s self-driving car. When we think of self-driving cars, names like Tesla and Waymo come to mind. But did you know the idea was already in motion back in the 1930s? In 1939, an early version of a driverless car was showcased at the New York World's Fair. It wasn't AI-powered like today's tech, but it could be remotely controlled using radio signals. Engineer Norman Bell Geddes even envisioned highways with embedded circuits to guide such cars automatically. A decade later, in the 1950s, real demos were held where cars drove themselves using wire-controlled systems. While it lacked the advanced sensors and algorithms of today's models, The concept of autonomous travel was already there, just waiting for the right technology to catch up. Self-driving cars, they were thinking about that almost a century ago. Invention 5. Electric cars, late 1800s. Believe it or not, electric cars aren't a 21st century breakthrough. They've actually been around since the late 1800s. In fact, by 1900, electric vehicles made up over 1/3 of all cars on the road in the US. These early EVs were clean, quiet, and surprisingly efficient. One model, the Detroit Electric, could travel up to 80 miles on a single charge. They were especially popular among city drivers, and even celebrities like Thomas Edison and Henry Ford's wife used them. But as gasoline became cheaper and internal combustion engines improved, electric cars faded into the background. It wasn't until more than a century later that EVs made their big comeback. Turns out Tesla didn't invent the electric car. It just revived an idea that was way ahead of its time. Invention 4. Da Vinci's robotic knight, 1495. Leonardo da Vinci wasn't just a painter. He was an inventor far ahead of his time. In 1495, he designed a robotic knight that could sit, wave its arms, and move its jaw. Built using pulleys and gears, this early humanoid robot was centuries ahead of modern robotics. While there's no evidence it was ever fully built in his time, the detailed blueprints were later discovered in his notebooks. Da Vinci imagined a world where machines could mimic human motion, an idea that wouldn't be seriously explored again until the 20th century. Basically, Da Vinci dreamt of robots before robots existed. Invention 3. Mechanical chess player. The Turk, 1770s. Imagine a machine beating people at chess in the 1700s. That was the Turk, a life-sized mechanical figure that amazed audiences across Europe. It looked like it could play chess on its own, and people were blown away. But the twist? It was a hoax. A skilled human player was hidden inside, controlling the machine. Still, the idea sparked the imagination. It was the 18th century version of artificial intelligence, long before we had computers or code. Even though it wasn't real AI, it hinted at a future where machines could think, or at least appear to. Invention 2. Fax machine, 1843. Before texts, emails, or even phones, there was the fax machine. Invented by Alexander Bain in 1843, it used electrical signals to send images over telegraph wires. That's right, document sharing over 30 years before Alexander Graham Bell invented the telephone. Bain's machine scanned a document line by line and transmitted it to another device that recreated the image. While it looked nothing like the sleek office faxes of the 1990s, the concept was revolutionary. The idea of transmitting information instantly across long distances was way ahead of its time and paved the way for future communication tech. Invention 1. Leonardo da Vinci's helicopter design, late 1400s. Leonardo da Vinci was obsessed with flight. Among his many sketches, one stands out: a spiral-shaped flying machine that looks a lot like a modern helicopter rotor. Created in the late 1400s, this aerial screw was made of linen, wire, and reeds. Though it never actually flew, the design showed incredible imagination and understanding of flight principles, centuries before powered flight was a reality. Da Vinci didn't have the materials or engines to make it work, but his vision laid the mental groundwork for future inventors. It's like the blueprint of a dream that would take 400 years to lift off. So, there you have it, 10 mind-blowing inventions that prove the future has always been closer than we thought. From steam-powered pigeons to wearable TVs, these creators didn't just imagine the impossible, they planted the seeds for the tech we rely on today. It's crazy to think how many of our modern breakthroughs are built on ideas from centuries ago. Just goes to show, genius doesn't wait for the right century. If you enjoyed this dive into forgotten tech history, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more fascinating stories from the past that shaped our present. Thanks for watching, and remember, the future might already be hiding in someone's notebook.